Was the military document a leaker? Another Edward Snowden, a Julian Assange type, seeking to do the right thing against the American system that has come to be corrupted, and therefore trying to fight tyranny in a David versus Goliath scenario where someone leaks documents intentionally to embarrass the United States. Was this person the prime suspect in now the roughly 100-page document leak of military classified information? Unique because it was information pertaining to battlefield information from just the last 30 to 40 days, which is really unique since especially prior leaks, the likes of which we've seen plenty of times before in the past, usually had to do with leaks regarding government behavior, like in the Edward Snowden cases from years prior. Not necessarily prime intelligence based on what is potentially happening on the battlefield right now. Was this person a David versus Goliath, wanting to stick it to the United States government for doing wrong? Or was he just a dumbass in a Discord server sharing information with his buddies who liked war games and guns? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about exactly that. See, this individual is now, and we want to be clear, these are allegations against this individual. We don't know convincingly, although it seems pretty convincing. We don't know yet for sure if this is indeed the person who has leaked these documents. However, the New York Times apparently got to the bottom of this Discord server this person was the de facto leader of. It was a group of about 20 to 30 individuals, and basically by stalking his social media profiles that were linked to his Discord group, the Thug Shaker Central group, they were able to find out where he lived and worked and basically beat authorities to his house, which is pretty remarkable. In fact, it got so deep that New York Times reporters were standing outside of his home asking, hey, y'all mind if we give you a little bit of a chat? And apparently the people standing there with this person, whose name is Jack, said, you know, it's probably just a matter of time before the feds will be here. In fact, the quote is, he needs to get an attorney if things are flowing the way they are going right now. The feds will be around soon, I'm sure, said the man who was standing with this particular individual. The individual's name, I'm definitely going to butcher it, is Jack Teixeira. I just made that up, but it's spelled T-E-I-X-E-I-R-A. He is a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard, which the Air National Guard, worth noting, is often built out with people who leave the Air Force. The Air National Guard, often called the Air Guard, is a reservist force. It is often trained by the United States Air Force, operates under the governor of each state, and can be activated by both the governor or the president under the direction of the Air Force if activated by the president. They are also trained, as I've mentioned, and also equipped by the Air Force. And this particular individual is expected to be charged with the Espionage Act, which provides up to a 10-year penalty per document leaked, which if the documents leaked were potentially a set of 100 documents, this person could face up to 1,000 years in jail. Of course, as soon as I made that comment on Twitter, people were very quick to argue, well, how many thousand years is Hillary Clinton then spending in jail? And then, of course, people on the other side were questioning when Donald Trump was going to spend his hundreds of years in jail. But that's just the nature of Twitter. You can't take a single step without having political cynicism on both sides. I'm not saying one side isn't right or one side isn't wrong. Not saying that at all. We're just neutrally providing information. But apparently, some photos of this individual, Jack's home, matched some of what you could see in the pictures around the leaked military documents, where you could see desks and furniture and walls around where the photos were taken of the military documents that kind of resembled the house where the individual lived with his parents. Apparently, his mother says he's been working night shifts at the Cape Cod Air Base. He recently changed his phone number. She didn't know why. Here's a little bit of video from the New York Times just showcasing what appears to be the FBI walking around the outside of the property. Do keep in mind the FBI and law enforcement personnel have blocked off both sides of the street to prevent crowds and reporters from being able to enter what is presumably a crime scene. It looks like this might be the New York Times columnist who was able to make it onto the inside of these sort of barricades before these law enforcement officers were there, and they've been kind of camping there. The New York Times basically beat law enforcement to this case. I guess it's out on Maple Street. Anyway, you could read more about this at the New York Times. It seems like they did a phenomenal job here. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, I know a lot of people don't like the mainstream media. A lot of people don't like the New York Times. Donald Trump hates the New York Times. But they seem to be the ones who beat this case. Anyway, apparently, which is surprising. You'd think the FBI would be able to do it before the New York Times could. But anyway, New York Times beat them there. So anyway, apparently, there were some questions about how this individual may have gotten security clearance, and apparently what could happen is emails with a bunch of attachments can sometimes miscellaneously get auto-forwarded to staff who work for people who are basically people who have security clearance. And the staff could then potentially have access to this sort of information. And it appears, and we don't know this with certainty, but it appears that these documents may have been shared with the Discord server without any intention of them actually leaking to the broader public. It was kind of supposed to be more of a, at least this is what it seems like, okay? And don't get me wrong, I am not defending a leaker here, okay? I'm just saying, it seems like it was kind of one of those things that like, oh, these are really cool documents. You know, we play Rome Total War at home. Oh, I bet the people in my Discord server would love to see this. Hey, guys, look at what I saw at work today. This is so cool. Look, the Russian battle tanks. Well, then some other dumbass, who was a teenager apparently, it's like, oh, these are really cool. Let me go put them on Reddit. And then obviously the Russians got a hold of it, the New York Times got a hold of it, and basically the world got a hold of it. Now, there are questions about whether or not there's damage to CIA operatives and their security, if there's going to be any kind of fallout between our allies like Ukraine and South Korea because basically we're spying on them. Is Russia going to tighten up their policies because, well, basically we're spying on them? You know, we heard a lot of things from these documents, including 4 hypothetical wild card events related to potentially the death of Putin, 1, the death of Zelensky, 2, the removal of leaders of the Russian armed forces, 3, and potentially a Ukrainian strike on the Kremlin, 4. None of those were given a likelihood. The documents that were leaked basically just said, look, we're basically facing a long-term protracted war here. So there are some questions about what the fallout of these documents is going to be. But quite frankly, from the reading that I know so far, to me, it doesn't seem like this is another Edward Snowden. It just seems like we have a dumbass who had classified information who ended up sharing it on the internet. And we know that once things make it onto the internet, they live forever. So, there you have a little bit of insight into what is going on with this guy, this person who was apparently described as a Christian, anti-war, and just wanted to inform some of his friends about what was going on. After all, in their Discord server, they post nothing other than about guns, video games, and racist memes. All right, anyway, there you have some insight into what the hell is going on here. And if any of this makes you nervous, check out the paid promotion on life insurance. You can get in as little as 5 minutes, or check out short form where you can get super-powered book summaries and 25% off if you use my link down below at shortform.com/meetkevin. 25% off for super-powered book summaries. So if you don't have time to go through an entire book, check out those super-powered summaries and maybe they'll inspire you to check out the complete book afterwards. But do check out those first at shortform.com/meetkevin. Life insurance, you can Apple Pay or an Android Pay for in as little as 5 minutes at metkevin.com/life. And all the information about me, my ETF, courses on building your wealth, other affiliate links, and other information at meetkevin.com. Thanks so much. Goodbye.